Hi, it's Ryan from Access Floors Distribution, and today we're going to delve into some of the different drawings that I see when I come across doing projects and working with either contractors or designers or specifiers or people generally just looking for help and advice in terms of raised access floor or hollow floor projects. And today in this video we're going to talk about some of the issues that we identify in terms of how a raised floor or hollow floor system should be built up and the components that should form part of it. Quite often the main issue I see is where there's confusion around the introduction of a raised access floor system. When I talk about a raised access floor system, I'm talking about a 600 by 600 bare steel encapsulated raised floor panel, compared to where there's a requirement for a hollow floor system. And quite often the two get mixed up. And the problem is when I look at a drawing and someone is looking to put maybe a hard or continuous finish, but they're looking to install that directly onto a raised access floor, there's elements of that build-up which are missing and could be adjusted slightly to make sure that the raised access floor or hollow floor system is built up with the right components used with the right types of finishes for the right project. Two reasons why I think that some of these mistakes are often made. Firstly, it's because specifiers and designers are, and generally the market in whole, are very used to a normal 600 by 600 bare steel encapsulated raised floor panel as being used in conjunction with a raised access floor system. They've been used for many years, they've been around for a long time, and it's everyone's go-to when you think about a raised access floor. However, there are other options out there. I believe that making the right decision in terms of choosing the correct components for the raised access floor system or hollow floor system comes down to the finish. What is ultimately going to be installed on the floor as the finish helps dictate which system you would lean towards. It doesn't make sense to me to install an accessible raised access floor system when you're looking to apply a continuous finish. So continuous finish would be maybe a porcelain tile or a terrazzo tile or a vinyl or an engineered wood, for example. It wouldn't make sense to install an accessible raised access floor system in that build-up with a finish that continues like that. It would make more sense with a raised access floor, and that was mainly what they were designed for if you were going to apply a carpet tile to finish that raised access floor panel, because once that carpet tile is removed, the floor void underneath is easily accessible via the raised floor. The other thing you need to consider is the loading capability and performance of each floor. There's various different types of systems out there in terms of their load performance and how much weight they can carry. And depending on what finish is going down on the floor and also what the floor is going to be used to carry in terms of what the room or building is for, will then dictate deciding which system to use. Over the years, there's been a lot of traditional bare steel raised access floors installed and then overlaid with another product. However, these days there's much easier ways to achieve the floor build-up that you're looking for without having to use multiple layers from different manufacturers, which might not necessarily get the performance that you're looking for. Let's delve into some of the drawings to give you an example of what I'm talking about. In this drawing, it would indicate to me that a raised access floor system would be installed, a bare steel encapsulated panel on a pedestal with some sort of terrazzo covering system over the top. Typically, there'd be two ways in which you would deal with this, which would be slightly different. Firstly, you'd look to consider a hollow floor system such as the canal Giffer floor system. That is gypsum fibre screed boards installed on a pedestal system that can allow you to achieve a very high performance loading. It's completely flat when installed and provides the ideal substrate for a range of different hard finishes, including, as described here, a terrazzo floor system. This means that the terrazzo could be installed directly to the Giffer floor system. There's no need for separate layers, no need for additional layers to be inserted, and within the pedestal build-up you have the option between the pedestal and the underside of the Giffer floor panel, a standard ABS plastic cap which sits on top of the pedestal, or alternatively an acoustic pad which improves the acoustic performance in terms of impact sound of the hollow floor system. This drawing is another example of a build-up which doesn't quite make sense to me in terms of its layout. So someone's looking to achieve a hollow floor and get around services within the floor void, which is great. You've got pedestals installed on concrete topping. Again, not an issue. And on the left, they've indicated here a void of around 500 millimeters. What I don't quite understand is the mineral wool layer that installed on top of the pedestals. And then what's described here again is a raised access floor system, which is 32 mil thick and is described as extra heavy grade. However, in this instance, again, you've got a raised access floor system being used where you would have a continuous finish. So in this case, a 20 mil solid oak, 125 mil width board. If you were to consider a raised access floor system installed on these pedestals, you would have to think about something to overlay it. Now, in terms of overlaying a raised access floor, there's over the years, lots of people used very basic timber sheeting like ply. However, the issue with ply is there's no testing done around it in terms of its performance. The different types of ply vary greatly in how they are constructed and depending on where they originate from, and it's very susceptible to moisture, humidity. Its fire performance is something which is unknown in terms of testing. However, in this build-up scenario, if you were looking to install a raised access floor in its legitimate terms, and even if it was a heavy grade raised access floor or a medium grade raised access floor, that accessible floor, the bare steel panel that we referred to earlier, could be overlaid with a non-structural structural screed board such as the Knauf Hugo 18 or 23 mil gypsum fibre screed board, which is tongue and groove, and when glued together over the top of a raised access floor provides the ideal substrate for a product like solid oak. Additionally, you could look to remove the entire raised access floor system if there was no requirement for access to the void, because once the solid oak floor is installed, you're not going to be able to achieve access to the void in any area you want without removing the finish, which you're not going to do. So in this example, again, you could look to remove the raised access floor entirely and install the Knauf Giffel floor system, which you have the option of a 32 mil, 38 mil, or maybe 25 mil system directly onto pedestals, which again, the solid oak finish could be applied directly to. In this third example, this is the type of thing that I would say is a correct build-up in terms of a raised or hollow floor system. So this drawing, the designer has opted for pedestals to be installed on an existing slab, which makes perfect sense. There's a void of around 205 mil, which varies, and then included here the Knauf Giffel floor tile or panel. And in this case, they've opted for a 600 by 600 mil hollow floor system, which is a tongue and groove system, which is more than acceptable. Typically, it comes as 1200 by 600, and 600 panels are used for things like the perimeters and smaller offcuts. There's absolutely no reason why that can't be installed directly onto pedestals. And then you have the terrazzo floor tile, which finishes on top. This system, to me, makes more sense in terms of the installation speed, the effectiveness of the floor overall in terms of its sturdiness, and installing a product such as terrazzo directly to it, as it offers an ideal solid substrate for a system such as terrazzo or any other continuous hard finish such as ceramics or porcelain. If you've got any questions or queries in terms of deciding which raised access floor or hollow floor build-up you need to incorporate into your project, feel free to get in touch via our website or drop a comment in this video below.